Hey everyone, it's me, Sean Capri, and welcome to episode 21 of We the Nerdy's Nerdflix and Chill. It's WeTheNerdy.com's movie podcast, and I am Sean Capri. I am joined by my good friend, Thane Tingley. Hi, Thane. Thank
Hi.
you for joining us as a guest host once again.
Thanks
I
for
don't know
having
when
me.
Gary is coming back. He told me, and he's texted me at least twice. But I have chosen, apparently, just to not lock that into my memory. So as far as I know, you're back next week, I think,
Well,
too.
hopefully he's not staying in any hostels because he might never come back.
You know, the worst thing about the hostel was, like, I don't want to stay in a hostel because I really like my Achilles tendons.
I enjoy having a non-burnt off this side of my face. So
Just
we're in the
that
same
side.
boat.
Yeah. Yeah, it has totally scared me away. You know, I think that actually real hotel chains made the hostel movie to scare people out of staying in hostels. And like, you know what? I'm going to pony up the extra 200 euros and stay in a legit place.
I'd have to agree.
Yeah, I think that there's a deep conspiracy there. But in case everybody is new, here's the deal with Nerdflix and Chill. Thane and I today are going to talk about a new movie that we saw in the theaters. It was called Sully. It is still called Sully. We're also going to talk about some trailers we saw right before that. And then to wrap it all up, we're going to do some 6 Degrees of Chill and talk about Face Off. Face Off.
No more drugs for that guy.
I can't wait to get to that one. This movie really surprised me. So that is the lay of the land. Thane, before we get to it, how have you been, my friend? I'm so glad we get to just we're gonna spend some time together. We're gonna every week, at the very least, we're gonna hang out for an hour
Yeah, every week until this week.
until Gary comes back, and then we're never gonna talk again. We'll just go back to our text messaging
We
relationship.
can we can text once every 2 months about stuff. I might throw a comment on this
Aw,
podcast and say, "Miss you."
aw.
Mm.
Well, we're both married men now, so I don't know. Apparently, like married dudes just hang out together. I don't because like when you do get married, then you like the single guys stop hanging out with you.
I don't think that's true. My wife says I don't hang out with boys anymore.
Oh, period. Even married guys. Okay, I should have asked her before we got into that.
Mm.
Okay, my friend. Well, we actually had a whole bunch of trailers as we roll into trailer talk, and anybody who knows this show, normally Gary and I will predict our Rotten Tomato scores. We're skipping that for the next little while. I assume that we're actually going to be seeing some of these trailers again as the show continues on the post Thane Tingley era. So we'll come back to that, and mainly because I just keep breaking stuff these last couple of weeks, so
I'm
I'm just
sure it's
trying to
me.
simplify. Is not definitely not you. I'm just dumb. So I'm just trying, I'm trying to simplify wherever I can. I think this is the week where everything works, but I feel like maybe I just jinxed it. But let's jump right into trailer talk. We're not going to predict scores, but I'm curious as to your thoughts on. We'll start with this World War II without weapons and Spider-Man Hacksaw Ridge, Mr. Thane.
You know what? When I first saw Andrew Garfield jump up on the screen, I was like, "Oh, this is going to be a pile of garbage." But throughout the trailer, it just got better and better. It actually looks like it is going to be a great movie, and it's directed by Mel Gibson, who they wouldn't mention in the trailer for some reason.
I know they said from the director of Braveheart. It
Yeah,
says.
they won't name drop him ever since he went off on a cheeseburger or whatever that was. But
That
I
was
don't know.
David
I think it's going to be
Hasselhoff.
great. Oh my bad. It's like the same guy.
Same thing, like racist or going to town on a Wendy's Happy Meal or whatever. Just a giant. Well, it was Wendy's too, wasn't it? Pretty sure it's just a huge. I'm
Just the
picturing.
classic triple.
Oh, I just love it. This movie looks really good. I'm ready for this new barrage of World War II. Even though this one stars the guy who was trying to take all the credit for Facebook. That's what Andrew Garfield, for me, is best known as. He was the businessman, and now he's going to be a hero without shooting a weapon. Like, you know what? I appreciate you trying to be different, but James Franco is already kind of doing the different thing. So just, Andrew, I'm just kidding. This movie looks incredible. But it is interesting that they totally skipped over the Mel Gibson name drop. I think that's pretty funny.
Yeah, that's the part that stood out more than anything for me. It was like, oh, the Braveheart guy wasn't. He's kind of a big deal. I mean, he has a name.
Honestly, I bet 90% of people forget that it was Mel Gibson who directed that movie. They just go, oh, yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, yeah, you're probably right.
Because it's been a long time. I wonder if there's a way for us to get along to that in 6 Degrees of Chill at some point. I'd like to watch Braveheart, although
I think
it's too long.
it was suggested this week by a real cunning, handsome fellow by the looks of him, who's Thane Tingley. Do you know him?
Did I include that, or did I botch this week's as well? I don't think that I did botch it. I think I've got you. Yes, you are there, and I know the result already. Sadly, it is not Braveheart. So even though I was hoping for you, and even though I just said I wanted Braveheart, not gonna happen.
Yeah.
So that movie's coming out November 4th. Are you seeing this movie? You taking the lady out?
Oh, absolutely, I'll see it. I don't know if I'll go November 4th, but November 5th is our fuckiversary, so might take her out
Whoa!
for something special.
I was not like in the theater.
If it's
Oh, I
quiet.
see what you're saying. That's the first you celebrate. Oh, I get it. I thought it was just that's the day that you. Okay, never mind. Try to. Woo! Is it hot in here? Thane just talking about getting busy. Woo, buddy. I was not anticipating that. Let's. Speaking of hot and sexy, Ben Affleck's making a movie, and it's all about gangsters. Live by night or live by night.
It's the same word. It depends how you say it, I guess. I'm gonna go with live by night.
I'm gonna go with Live by Night as well. Directed by Ben Affleck, which always gets me excited.
Yeah.
Seeing him doing some stuff that's got a little bit of style, a little swagger. I like that. I didn't get the shot of him like doing chin ups, where it shows that he's clearly worked out for this role that he's doing the directing for as well, just so he gets that shot in. I don't know. I'm a sucker for these types of movies. Like basically any movie with a Tommy gun has pretty much got my vote. Uh,
Yeah, I agree with you wholeheartedly there for sure. I love them all.
you have January 13th. This is a this is a quick and dirty see it for me. I don't really know too much about it. That was the other thing. It seemed like a long movie, showed a lot of beats, but I have no idea. I can't tell you what it's about.
Yeah, I kind of like that. It showed some action shots, but it doesn't give away anything, which is I know you hate trailers that give the whole movie away. I'm
Yep.
with you.
Yep, this is my kind of trailer. Keep it up, Ben Affleck. Keep doing everything you're doing except for that Batman v Superman. You can stop doing that stuff. Lastly, we had one more. We actually had a bunch more, but we talked about them as I mentioned. The last trailer that we're going to talk about here is kind of. It looks like it's from the 7 Pounds School of Film Work, or The Pursuit of Happiness. The Will Smith Ball Your Eyes Out with Collateral Beauty coming out on December 16th. This one was really interesting. This is him. He seems to be going a little bit crazy, and he's writing letters to things. He's not writing letters to people, but writing letters to ideas like love and death and these universal themes, who are then personified with real people who respond to his letters. So this is definitely something you're going to bring your Kleenex and just a huge bucket to weep as you watch this movie. It looks like you mentioned before we started talking. Looks like he's reaching for an Oscar on this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I this one kind of threw me off when the trailer first started, and as you said, he's crazy and writing letters to things. I was like, wow, this is gonna you're gonna bawl. This whole movie's just gonna be sadness. And then when Death personified shows up, I believe it was Dame Helen Mirren, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that kind
Not
of threw
Norm
me
Macdonald.
off. I thought that was
Family Guy.
like very Scrooged. I didn't know what to
yeah.
expect, so it went from like a super serious sad movie, like Reign Over Me styles, where it just crushes you the whole time, but then suddenly you got these ghosts or whatever they are in there. So I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this one.
I know, and it wasn't clear to me, at least in the trailer, whether or not like they're real or if they're his imagination. And I feel like if they are in this world, I feel like it'll be better if they are real
Yeah,
for some reason. I don't want him to be like totally nuts.
yeah. No, I
you don't
agree
go
with
full.
ya.
Am I allowed to say the R word anymore?
I don't think you're allowed to say that anymore.
R word's gone.
And moving on.
All right, so I will see that one December 16th. I am looking forward to it. If
I
not,
might if nothing better comes out. Like
oh
I don't
yeah,
know if
there's
they're
something else. I can't remember. There's
little indie flick.
yeah, some dude is making. You know what? There was some news that came out today about Rogue One that
Oh,
they like did some reshoots recently. They did some extensive reshoots, and they just changed who is composing the music. And
weird.
they've brought in the guy who did Lost, and a whole bunch of other stuff with JJ and Mission Impossible, tons of stuff. I feel like this is kind of late. I don't want to dive too much into that, but it's just kind of interesting. I haven't been worried at all. I've never worried about what Disney is doing, especially now with
Yeah.
the whole Marvel stuff, and I think Star Wars was excellent. But this is kind of, it was strange news for me to
Yeah, that
hear.
is a bit odd. It is a little late in the year for that for sure.
Yeah, because it is September, school is back, Star Wars is around the corner. That's the new schedule that we get to be used to. It's school's back, Thanksgiving, Star Wars, Christmas. I kind of like it.
I
That
love
sounds
it.
good to
I
me.
want it to happen forever.
Do you want to talk about Sully now?
Yeah, let's talk about Sully now.
Okay, we'll keep. I hope you guys are liking this new. When Gary comes back, he's gonna have to keep it tight because I kind of like this hour-long stuff. None of this 90-minute bullshit.
But Gary never really spews bullshit. His voice has a commanding presence. You just want to listen. So I'll let it go for 2 hours. I might not listen to all of it,
Hmm.
but I'll like that it's 2 hours of Gary in case I feel like it.
All right. Well, everybody should let us know. Let us know. Are you Team Thane? Are you Team Shut Up Thane? Are you Team Shut Up Gary? Are you Team Shut Up Sean? And the weird thing is, you want to be on one of those teams. Actually, that's the positive. If you say Shut Up Sean, I like it. That's a good thing. Okay, so we're gonna talk about 9/11 and planes crashing in New York. Not really about 9/11. This movie that we saw this week was called Sully. It is starring Tom Hanks and Aaron
Yay.
Eckhart, Two-Face himself, and directed. Which is kind of funny that that's the connection between Sully, or the movie that we watched, and then Face Off. I was thinking about like the burn victim kind of look that Two Face has in the Dark Knight. I'm like, that's if only we had that technology when Face Off came out. That would be kind of, if only they did just like the half the face,
They could give him half of somebody else's face.
like the
Maybe
Phantom of
two
the
face, but
Opera,
they both be
maybe.
nice. Oh,
What is happening? So Sully was directed by our good friend Clint Eastwood. It is late. I don't know why I'm giggling so much. Tom Hanks, Aaron Eckhart, and Laura Linney as wifey poo for Tom Hanks. This gets an 82 on Rotten Tomatoes. I am curious, but before we jump into it, if anybody doesn't know what this movie was about, Tom Hanks and Aaron Eckhart are pilots, and they're flying a plane, and they fly into some birds, losing all thrust.
all the thrust.
You don't want to lose the thrust. And then they crash the plane into the Hudson River. This is not a spoiler. It is the movie. This is the movie. And basically, the entire film is a hearing board trying to investigate and really lay the blame on Tom Hanks of this. Actually, even though it was a miracle, the insurance is not happy, and they want to find a way to kind of pit the blame on Tom Hanks. That's the synopsis. Mr. Thane, what did you think?
Well, I got a completely different synopsis out of that movie than you somehow.
Okay.
I saw this as there's the guy, the head guy of the NTSB there. This guy has spent his life being an advocate for autonomous airplanes. And when Tom Hanks drops the ball and lands this plane in the Hudson, this dude takes his chance. It's his opportunity to really prove that man should not be behind the wheel. He wants robots flying those planes, and he proves it time and time again, throwing his little simulations out there saying, look, if this happens to a robot, we land the plane nicely. He does it time and time and time. How many tests did they say? 200 simulations?
Okay, well, take it easy on the spoilers there, Mr. Thane.
That's not a spoiler.
Kind of spoiler, but well, that's not too bad. I'm not
That
panicking.
is a spoiler. I'm
That's all right.
panicking now.
I'm panicking now. I've never heard.
This is my panicked face.
Do not panic. So overall, before we kind of get into more detailed thoughts, this is the best movie I've seen all year. I'm just gonna come out and say it. I was on the edge of my seat. This evoked many emotions out of me. In the same way, like, you know when somebody's being heroic, but they know they're being heroic? It's kind of like when somebody, like, there's an explosion happening behind you and you look all cool and you're saving people. There's a lot of rescue efforts in here that I wasn't really, I guess, anticipating. They really got to me. Like when the firefighters, and it's this very, it reminds you of 9/11. There's a lot of planes flying low in the New York skyline, dodging like sky rises and all these things. And it definitely, there's a call out to 9/11 as well in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of like, without doing this is the best 9/11 movie we've seen probably since 9/11. But yeah, like for me, some of the best parts were just the rescue efforts and how the entire team seems to come together and make sure that everybody is totally fine. Tom Hanks is an absolute standout. I will join the internet in saying that I will never travel with him because he's either like stranded on an island, or gosh no, like he's pirates get after him and tell him that they're the captain.
Gets trapped in space.
I liked Aaron Eckhart in this movie. I feel like they really had like a true partnership there. Like they were co-pilots together, and I like that they had a really good chemistry in this. Even though Aaron Eckhart wore kind of a questionable mustache, my one sort of flaw with this one is actually wifey poo, Laura Linney. I feel like I really could have just done without her. I felt like they are trying to fill the spot of he is a family man, so he better have a wife to sort of like report into every once in a while. I'm not sure if like I often don't like that. I don't like that in the in Face Off later. I don't like the wife role as well. So that sounds kind of sexist, but this seems kind of like a waste. It seems a little bit forced. I don't think she performed very well.
That's funny. I wrote damn near exactly that. I think they honestly needed to fill more time in the movie, so he needed to fill 20 minutes of talking on the phone. I don't think it served any purpose to the story whatsoever.
Yeah,
but it was a short movie without it.
Which I'm a fan of. Like, let's get to the point. We don't need to fluff this thing out. We do sort of revisit the same types of scenes over and over again, but which you would think maybe would get annoying. But to me, you experience them in slightly different ways every time, and somehow it's kind of like in Lost, where they keep going back to the plane crash in Lost, and you're like, oh, this is a different angle, or I'm focusing on a different person. And it was still like it made you sick inside each and every time. And it's because air travel, we've all traveled, we've all been in a plane, and we know how just casual we are with it. Like, this is something that we almost take for granted at this point, just that. And some people have a true fear of flying, but they touch on that a little bit of like racing towards the flight and just like catching it at the last minute, and you're just so lucky. You're so happy to be on the flight, and you're going through the safety video, and you're like, well, this is stupid. I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Like, well, I've never needed this before. And I just love the way that it kind of addressed the monotony of traveling, and then just completely turns it upside down. Obviously, it's the entire point of the movie. And Clint Eastwood, I think, does a really nice job of showing a little bit of restraint. And instead of following some of the tropes that we see in other movies like this, where the passengers on the flight take over, like they almost get too much attention in the story, and then you have this whole muddled thing happening. We only get little glimpses. We only get a couple of archetypal characters in the plane, but we don't spend too much time with them. It really is a story about Sully, oddly enough, and then his partner, and the conflict that he has with the hearing board that you mentioned. I don't know what the initials are. NSRB? Is that what they were called?
NTSB?
NTSB. There's a transportation in there.
Probably. Northern Transportation Sully Board?
So it was like, for me, that what really kind of got me welled up a little bit was just how selfless a lot of the characters were in this, even in the face of there's a lot of self-doubt, even though you're sure you've done the right thing. Like, 100% that there is nothing else you could have done. And whenever you kind of get that attacked with various pieces of evidence, you start to kind of have that chipped away. And so I've never flown a plane. I don't know about you, but I can definitely put myself in those shoes. And I think that is a real strength of this movie as I'm watching it, going, what extraordinary circumstances, yet I feel like I'm experiencing this along with Tom Hanks.
Hmm. I took note of the everybody coming together. It's like any movie where something bad happens in New York, the way that all the New Yorkers get together to help each other out and stuff.
Yeah, like Spider-Man.
Every time I see that, yeah, like Spider-Man, exactly.
Go get him,
they all
Spider-Man!
It always makes me want to visit New York, though. Whenever I see these people coming together like that, I'm thinking, when I get mugged, somebody's going to come over and be like, hey, and help me out. And I like that. It's quite nice. It almost choked me up. Just about. It was close, almost.
I think the Red Cross should be very happy with their product placement in this one. A special shout out, I won't say too much more than this, to the air traffic control guy. Very tremendous performance by him. And then, so my wifey poo was my one nick against this one, and my second one, little con, is the NTSB, or whatever this hearing board is called. They are so villainous that it's almost comical. Like, they are so blinded, so tunnel vision in their attack on Sully that I'm really just not sure if, like, that's the way that it happens, so you continue along with it, or if it's maybe what they did and the way it was portrayed is actually they come over the top with it just to make it seem like this is good versus pure evil. And I kind of wish that it was a little bit more balanced the way that they came at Sully. It seemed like one was completely in the right and one was completely in the wrong, and it never, even though there were moments of that, like as I mentioned, you get that feeling like Tom Hanks is kind of doubting himself. Maybe I did do the wrong thing. Truly, you don't ever go all the way. You never really go into this. No, they've got him, and so like I never really felt like Sully was in trouble of losing his wings or anything like that. So I don't want to go in. This is now getting into some spoiler territory. Final thoughts on the movie Sully, and let's get your rating. 5 stars.
It was a great movie. I mean, you got Clint Eastwood and Tom Hanks doing a movie together. There's nothing that could go wrong with that, in my opinion. And I'd give it 5 stars. It was a wonderful movie. I enjoyed it a lot. There was not a moment where I was like, when I left there, I was thrilled about it. I would sit down and watch it one more time immediately after.
I kind of want to do that as well, and it kind of just, again, I feel like the way that it elicits the emotions that you feel, the way that I've been thinking about it ever since. And I'm walking down the street and I'm seeing strangers. I'm like, have you seen Sully yet? Because you should probably see it. Just the way that people listening to this should walk down the street and go like, have you guys listened to Nerdflix and Chill? You should listen to it. It's on iTunes and on Google Play every Friday, by the way. And on youtube.com/WeTheNerdy. This movie, I'm so glad that we're out of summer blockbuster territory. We've got some movies with some brains and some emotion and just style and purpose. This movie just checks off so many boxes for me. I just wish Wifey Poo was good and the NTSB was a little bit more balanced, but otherwise I could watch this plane crash into the river 100 times more, and I feel like Clint Eastwood would find a way to make it just as entertaining or find something new to pull out and make me care about that. But holy crap. If you do have a fear of flying, definitely see this movie. It's going to be even more intense for you. So very great. I don't know if I go 5. I think I'm going to pull back just a little bit, 4.5. That's where I'm at. 4.5 out of 5. Still very, very good. But I'm not sure that it's like top tier stuff. But is that kind of weird to say best movie you've seen all year? It's more of a commentary on the movies this year, I feel.
Yeah, I took it as that when you said it the first time, because there really hasn't been anything that tugs at the heartstrings. There's been a lot of flashy stuff.
This is definitely better than Warcraft. We'll put it that way.
I haven't even seen that yet.
I'm
waiting until it's like an A-channel special feature.
It's not even if you find a way to get to see that for free. Well, I guess if you have to choose between Warcraft and Batman v Superman, maybe.
Oh, I wish I was on for Batman v Superman so we could
We didn't
argue.
even do it back then. I think we started this like shortly, like right after when we walked out of the theater. Gary was just he said the words that was aggressively bad, and I'm like, have you ever thought about doing a podcast? Because like I think you should do a podcast. So it was
So
very
Batman v Superman sprung this cast. I
yeah,
like
pretty
that.
much.
I love that
Gary's
movie. I've
beard
seen it like
really did it as he
7
was growing out
times.
the beard. It was
Yeah?
yeah, it needed to be podcasted. He needed to rub that on a microphone at some point. Okay. Good talk on Sully. We're going to move into the main event. I don't know which one's the main event. That last one's a review of the new movie. We're going to talk about a movie called Face Off. And here's where we all get to feel old. This movie came out in 1997.
Wow.
It was directed by John Woo, so we get to see some doves flying around. This is John Travolta. This is Nicolas Cage at their prime. Joan Allen, perhaps, at her prime. I'm not if she had one. It did. I always look up if some of these movies were nominated or won any Oscars. This did get nominated for Best Sound Effects Editing back in 1998. It was released June 27th, 1997, with a budget of $80 million. A nice, a humble budget of $80 million, grossing $241 million at the box office. Pretty decent return in the glory days of Nicolas Cage. And I can't remember if this is where we started to see, like, if this is the movie that gave birth to all of the crazy Nicolas Cage faces, or maybe it goes back as far as Leaving Las Vegas or whatever Vegas movie he was in. He's just a nutball in this. And before we jump into the specifics, in case anybody has not seen Face Off, we are going to dive into the spoilers. This movie came out 19 years ago,
Ugh.
a little over 18 years ago. So, yeah, wipe those adult diapers, y'all, because we are old and we're going to talk about a movie that we remember. We think that it came out just yesterday, but it was almost 2 decades ago. So Nicolas Cage is a bad guy. John Travolta is a good guy with a chin. They hate each other. And for reasons, new science will allow them to trade not only their faces, but their voices, body types, everything but their blood type. And that will end up being the undoing of the entire thing. This is a convoluted mess. As simple and as basic a story as this is, the science makes almost no sense. The relationships and the motivations of some of these characters make absolutely no sense. The action is pretty good, but overall, this movie did not hold up for me in the way I've talked probably for the last 20 years to say that I think Face Off might be better than Con Air, and I honestly don't know if that's true
No,
after watching
no.
this.
This movie was a skid mark in comparison.
Oh!
Con Air was great and it held up. I enjoyed it the first time I saw it. I've always talked about it. I always think about that movie because it's great. And, like a lot of nostalgia kicks in with a lot of these older movies and you rewatch them and you're like, oh, that was absolute garbage. Face Off was one of those. It's just a steaming pile of shit.
Oh, jeez, you really hate this movie.
I hate this movie. It took me 2 days to watch it. I got so bored watching it the other day. I had to stop for a while and just watch something good. I don't understand how I loved this movie so much when I was younger.
We had time to watch this totally bloated movie coming in at 2 hours and 20 some odd minutes, rated 18A. Rotten Tomatoes, very kind to this movie, by the way. If we go back and look, 92%. I'm gathering you're nowhere near that. I'm curious, what's your 5-star? We always start with that, and then we'll dive into some of the deets, as the kids say.
I'd have to go with 1.
Oh, God, nothing.
And the
too
only reason it's
redeeming.
getting that 1 is when Nick Cage steps out of that car the first time at the
And
airport.
his trench coat like flares out like
Yeah,
somehow.
and then he gets his little box of guns and money. That was the
And
coolest
chiclets?
scene ever. Yeah, chiclets.
He's got his super cool glasses and his like silk shirt, his like red / burgundy. Oh man, so much style. But that does not hold up. It looks so dated. if there's ever a time where you need to realize how old this was, it's like when you were a kid and you started looking back at like the 70s and going like, how cheesy, and your parents were like, that was cool. No, this is the 90s for us now. We get to look back and we're like, that was the time. They don't make movies like that anymore. And it's like, thank God. Thank God. John Woo used to be my dude, but I just don't know. So let's begin at the beginning. I will give you my rating. Thanks for asking, Dick. Two out of 5. This one gets 2 out of 5 for me. 1 per face. 1 star per face off. Although it gets reversed in the end, so I don't know. It's too much math. So I give it about a 2 out of 5. I go a little better. Some of the action stuff is pretty great, but huge deductions, I think, for just completely overindulgent is the word that comes to mind for me. We start off with you just don't kill a guy's son. Nicolas Cage, he's doing his stalker thing with a sniper rifle, which didn't really seem that far away from the playground. And John Travolta's doing the merry-go-round, which always looked creepy to me. He's hanging out with his boy. His name is Sean, by the way. I want to start with this. John Travolta plays a character named Sean, and he is married to a woman named Eve. And in case you guys are just joining us at this point in the podcast, I'm Sean. Hi, I'm Sean Capri. Chelsea's mom is Eve. So my mother-in-law is Eve. So that was a weird thing for me. So we're at the merry-go-round having a gay old time. And Nicolas Cage shits all over the fun time with a good old sniper rifle shot to the back through the chest into Michael's face. Mm-hmm. So we get child murder right off the bat. We know that this is an intense movie at the start. Did you find it weird that Nicolas Cage, who has a sniper rifle, has ample time, and they're not going anywhere? They're literally going in circles on this merry-go-round.
Yeah.
Maybe if you don't line up like the headshot the first time around, maybe just like wait one more rotation and just go for the headshot and kill him anyways. Like,
yeah, I don't know. That was weird to me. Like, clearly he had a kid beside him, and then the kid's gone, and he's kind of hunched over. Like, he looked like he felt bad when he took the kid out, so I don't think he was trying.
But then he didn't. He only had 1 bullet.
Maybe.
He had 1 bullet to get the job done, and he takes a terrible shot like this. Nicolas Cage with his Cage stash at the beginning.
That was a great mustache.
Oh, it was so awful.
It was perfectly groomed.
Maybe that's what happened as he was like lining up the scope on his face. And he just kind of like his mustache kind of like moved the rifle over just a little.
Did a mustache ruffle?
Oh, he's like, who wants a mustache ride? He gives a mustache ride to a sniper rifle. It's this weird Nicolas Cage thing that got cut. So we are introduced before the gunshot to the whole like face over the hand over the face.
That's so weird.
Which is now what I do to my iPhone when I want to see my notifications. I realize I'm just like, I love you, iPhone. I just kind of like gently touch it and like swipe down. Yep, that's the best part of this movie is that I realized that I love my iPhone so much. I'm just gonna do the little aww. I'm so glad. I hope I've ruined that for everybody listening. All right, so for some reason, the story skips forward 6 years after Son is like. I feel like that was also not very necessary. Maybe just they needed to build up hate, but for anyways. Things go on for 6 years. Let's see. There's some great lines in this movie too. By the way, they're trying to get John Travolta. He's the FBI. He's a star FBI agent, and his whole team is there with him. But he's trying to get him to work harder, like Homer Simpson when he's working for Scorpio, and he's in the team. And he's like, "Hey guys, are you working hard?" "Yes, Mr. Simpson, very hard, sir." Could you work any harder?" "Yes, absolutely." And they start typing faster. Like, John Travolta kind of has that moment in this, too. And he's like, "We could take a break when the case breaks." I'm like, good one, John. That was... So we get lots of that 90s cheese balls happening in this movie. We quickly cut over to the LA Convention Center, which I immediately identified as where E3 happens, for the video game nerds out there, because Nicolas Cage wants to blow this thing up, and he does that by disguising himself as a priest who likes to fondle choir girls.
That was just so strange.
What is happening in this movie? How does he get there? And what is this choir girl who's sort of like into it too? Like Nicolas Cage shows up out of nowhere, starts headbanging to the choir song, and the girl's like, "Yeah, I like this crazy reverend." I don't know what.
He's just so creepy and old. She's like
Yes!
this sweet little 16-year-old Catholic girl, and he's like, I'm gonna cup your ass full on. And she's like, oh, I
Yeah.
like the way this makes me feel.
Of all the people, yeah, he just, I don't know. So he plants the bomb. This is kind of the ticking time bomb, as it were, throughout the whole thing. It's funny how it actually comes back to this as being a pretty significant kind of driving force for. I thought, even watching this again, I'm like, okay, well, they do the bomb thing and then they move forward and they move on. But it's basically the entire reason that John Travolta can be convinced to take his face off and then go into prison. So I don't want to skip too far ahead, because I basically just want to point out how ridiculous this movie is. That's kind of my goal for today. I don't really want to, like, there's nothing too great to talk about. I wanted to ask you this question before we go on. Who's acting better in this? Because it's all pretty bad. But do you take John Travolta over Nicolas Cage, or do you think the crazy Nick Cage has got the upper hand here?
I think John Travolta did a better job because Nick
Definitely.
Cage just kind of screams and the whole time, but John Travolta really does a backflip. He's a great job in this. That's probably the one that I gave it.
That John Travolta was the one per dimple on chin dimple.
Yeah. One
You
per
just put a little
chin
star
butt
there.
cheek.
Put a star on your chin. Ding. Okay, so where are we at? We catch up 6 years later. They track him down. They know that the bomb is happening, but the FBI doesn't know. What they do know is that he's going to make an escape in a private jet. And the two brothers, the Troy brothers, they get on the plane, and there's this, like, some soccer mom is there in the plane. She's a flight attendant. Turns out that she's actually an FBI agent undercover, but we don't find that out until after he has the two super cheesy lines about eating a peach for hours, I think, happens there, and then he asks her to suck his tongue.
Yeah.
She is not, like, it doesn't seem like the escort style, and that she just
Yeah.
happens to be like a flight attendant, and he's just like flopping his dick around on this plane, and she just
As one does.
she goes for it, as one does when you're on a private flight. Just like, that's what's up.
Yeah.
So she does this. Moments later, identifies herself as an FBI agent, because John Travolta and crew are going to take these guys down. They're not going to let them take off. Which, I mean, yeah, I won't jump it back into Sully. FBI agent gets shot and killed. So nice knowing you. And then what's his name? Nicolas Cage is trying to get the pilot to take off, but it's really hard to make a plane fly when a helicopter has parked its ass on the wings, and that's what's keeping this thing from going. And Nicolas Cage goes, "Well, I really like to leave, so if you're not going to make this plane take off, I'm going to shoot you in the head and then try and do it myself."
Seems like the best course of action for sure.
Things
Because he
don't
could
work
do
out.
better.
Things don't work
Yeah.
out. They crash into this fireworks hangar where it seems like it really should just be a hangar, but it seems to be loaded up with fireworks. And like that was another thing about the 90s, where I guess in lieu of like computer generated images, they just and actual explosions, they're like, "Hey, you over there, you got extra fireworks, and we're gonna slam this plane into a hangar if you want to just like get rid of a few, because it looks great." That's exactly that's how I imagine it would probably go down. So they crash the plane, and there's some hand to hand combat. Some FBI agents go down. Guy gets his ear shot off Pretty violent little shot there. Everybody kind of winced at that one for sure. And probably one of the wimpiest knockouts of all time, I think, is when John Travolta kind of gives him a Chuck Norris kick to the chest right into the jet engine blast. And then
Yep.
he sort of just like floats down the hangar and up against the what looks like a chain link fence. Like, I feel like that would be very soft. And he gets
Maybe.
put into a coma from that.
It's the wind. Wind can put people into a coma if it's shot out of an engine. Not a lot of people know that.
I guess maybe it's just the way that my brain works. I have a hard time believing that like hurricanes do damage. Like, that seems to be weird for me. So I guess if hurricanes, if you say it's true that tornadoes and hurricanes are damaging, I suppose a jet engine probably could also do you in as well. So he gets put into a coma. I also made a note here too that we get a great shot of a zip drive disc.
Yes. I wrote the same thing down.
They almost kind of like they linger on the shot of the zip drive just long enough. It was almost like they were trying to put it into like a time capsule where they know people are going to be watching this in 20 years, and it's a shot for the people watching in the future. Go like, remember this? You walked away from this stellar technology. Because
I saw that as more of an ad. I'm pretty sure zip drives just came out then because they zoomed right in on the little blue zip drive machine. I'm gonna cough.
I'm gonna let you.
Oh, thank you. Anyway, I saw it as like this is the newest
really
technology. People have only read about it in science journals, and now it's on this movie. They're so cutting edge.
They've read about it in like encyclopedia collections that people are finding at their grandparents' house. It was under the Z section of the encyclopedia. So, so Nicolas Cage gets he's into a coma. You think, okay, that's probably the end of the movie because like mission accomplished, we got him. But nope, that zip drive is very important because it has plans for a bomb somewhere. And let's just skip to the part where they basically just convince him that the only way that they can find out where this bomb is, there's no other way. There's no time. They get a date from some goon, the 18th, and that's all they go on before they skip right to, okay, here's the plan. You know that face that like is pretty much like just that's your face? We're going to take it off. And we're going to take somebody else's face and put it on you. And the surgery scene is a real standout for me. I really love this scene. They just kind of like willy-nilly trace the purple marker around like the outline of his face. Like, whatever. Like, I just need a straight line, I guess, a guide, rather than, I don't know, maybe tendons or some sort of real connections. We just skip past that part. Laser, take off the face, and it kind of has that like little suction as if
the little vacuum
all you
machine.
need to do is just like separate at the edge, and that's all that's holding your face on to your skull or all the muscles. Like everything else just kind of like pops off, which I love. It kind of gives that suction sound.
Yeah.
So they take that off, they put them into like the little bucket of water, which reminded me of when you're at the hairdresser and they clean up the brushes.
The Barbasol.
Like, just throw Grease Lightning's face into one of those. Then and leave his face exposed while we go over to Nicolas Cage. We'll do his second for some reason. Cut his face off. And as they were putting the face back onto John Travolta, I'm like, you know what? I don't even like sharing an ice cream cone with somebody. I don't even like sharing it with Chelsea. Let alone having this dude's like his face on my gooey non-face. Like, what?
I never even thought of that. That is disgusting.
So much AIDS.
They have that plastic shell in between. The plastic shell for the bone structure.
Which, they look at the size of this thing. Like, they show, we're going to put your face on top of this thing. And it fits on top of his face as it is. Like, the size of the plastic thing that's supposed to go under actually is larger than the outside of his face. It's as if he's wearing, like, a mask on Halloween.
Yeah, with some skin stretched on top of it. And that makes sense?
It doesn't make any sense. You'd imagine. I'd want somebody with, like, real great Photoshop skills out there to just show us what that would look like to have something underneath and just all stretched out, and maybe you got like some really thick stitches, like from the fake face to your real neck and all of that. So we're buying into this whole surgery as a real thing. All you need to do is get a haircut, and it sort of reminded me of the Team America transformation, where they kind of just they do the surgery that's very graphic, and you're kind of like wowed by just how insane that is, and then they cut back to some 1997 like Windows 95 graphics of the body changing, and then they snap cut to him getting his hair cut and trimmed a little bit, and that magically changes his hairline to Nicolas Cage's hairline. And they throw in a line about we'll take care of those love handles. So now he has the exact same body. They had pretty much the same eye pigment, so that pretty much takes care of it. And
Yeah,
they do
if
this
the
all
eye
because
color matches.
they discovered how to create an ear for their friend who got their ear shot off at the beginning. So the surgery is a flying success. Thank God for Advil and anti-inflammatories, because it just takes a couple days and he's totally fine. He's ready to go in, get his voice changed. He eats another peach for hours. That's a great line that just keeps coming back. And we're ready to go into prison. So this prison is another Nicolas Cage callback, because he just keeps finding himself on an island prison. This one seems to be even worse than The Rock. It's like the new age version of The Rock. It is a magnetic prison. They all wear these boots, and you're not getting off that prison if you're going to have those boots on. So Nicolas Cage Nicolas Cage, who is now actually John Travolta but looks like Nicolas Cage, just for anybody like not really following along, meets up with brother of the real Nicolas Cage to try and find out where the bomb is. Remember, that's the whole reason that we're doing this whole thing. It's the bomb, which will level... It's not a nuclear bomb, by the way. It will level a square block, and it's happening on the 18th. Just evacuate the E3 center. Just get everybody out of there. You're taking your face off and going into prison, and nobody is going to know that you're in there. So that sounds like a great idea. Just get everybody out. Just demolish. Do yourself a favor. Demolish the center yourself. What? I get a little heated, Thane, every once in a while.
This smoothie is it's good to be heated over this one, because it's awful. One thing I can't get past, John Travolta's got a big ass head. Nicolas Cage has a skinny little head. How the fuck?
There's no way the bone structure doesn't add up at all.
The mask.
Oh, right, the mask. I keep forgetting the mask. Which apparently is like the Jim Carrey mask and just changes everything. It just brings out the inner whatever in you. It doesn't take long for Nicolas Cage, who is actually John Travolta, to find out where the bomb is from his brother. Goes on to insult him. He thinks that he's won, but lo and behold, things aren't going to plan. And real John Travolta / not real John Travolta shows up to visit not real Nicolas Cage in prison to tell him to reiterate the plan. There is so much exposition in this movie of just in case people haven't been following along, here's what's up. Everybody's dead. I burned them alive. You're screwed. By the way, you're screwed because remember, they were the only ones who knew that you were in here. So that sucks. That would be terrifying. You're stuck in this prison. You're like, I wasn't even supposed to be here today. So he's stuck. Fake Nicolas Cage settles into the life of a married man. I don't know. What else? I'm going way too much into this. What part do you want to skip to? Where do you want to fast forward to?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
You want to hang out with a drug dealer who looks like the singer from Disturbed?
See, I thought he looked like Woody Harrelson from Natural Born Killers.
Oh, that's better. That's probably what they were going for, actually.
It might have been. He's got the look for it. I don't even know. Let's just skip to the end when it just completely falls apart and goes from a 1.5 to a fucking 0.
Okay.
God, I hate this movie.
I want to talk about one thing that really is the reason that if things get ruined for me. As the two guys are flipped in their roles, they have to continue the facade that they are the fake person who they say they are. And so Nicolas Cage, who becomes John Travolta or Sean, becomes father of the year, by the way, by smoking a cigarette and giving great advice to his daughter and saving her from a little bit of rape in the car. And
Mm.
also becomes husband of the year by throwing very romantic. Like, what is his motivate? Like, why is he going through the trouble to do any of this stuff?
I saw it as a kind of a. This is a spoiler for any Spider-Man comic readers out there. I don't know if I should even. The Doctor Octopus incident, where kind of.
What's happening?
I don't want to be divulgy, whatever. Doctor Octopus takes over Spider-Man, but then just becomes good all of a sudden because he's like, well, the shoe fits. I might as well just do what I'm doing. So maybe he takes on that role. He's like, well, I guess I'm a family man now. I might as well do it the best I can. Shows up to this broken ass home and throws a little life into it, and everybody's happy again.
Is pretty terrible. And then the same thing is happening on the other end, where Sean, who's dressed up as Nicolas Cage, starts to try and mend the wrongs of the doppelganger. Like, he's trying to make right by his baby mama. And it's like, what? There's no reason. Just keep going. Try to get back to your wife. You have no reason to, like, even acknowledge this person. And the only reason I complain about this is, as ridiculous as this entire movie is, and how I'm, like, just continuing to eat this bullshit sandwich, it just makes the movie longer. It just bloats this thing up to, I mean, there's a lot of character development, but it's just misplaced, misguided. This movie does not hold up at all. Let's get to, okay, so Father of the Year. I think this is where we first start to see doves flying around, where probably the worst FBI operation of all time happens, where the SWAT team comes in to blow up the drug dealer kind of operation, and they just, like, dive in head first. I would say 80% of these guys just die because their approach is so terrible. A bloodbath ensues, and a Disturbed singer gets shot in the neck. And he has, like, that gratuitous squirt, like a water fountain, just, like, coming out of his neck. Great.
I'm a fan of the neck shots. One thing I noted was how amazingly fast the FBI got there. Like, looking at it, Pollux is watching him in bed with Sasha there.
Yep.
They're hanging out. He gets out of bed, puts on a pair of pants, and the FBI's outside.
Yep.
That's how long it took that big of a group to get there. It was, what, a minute?
In case you didn't know, I think 24 proved it for everybody that there is no traffic in LA.
Oh shit, my bad.
So you can just go wherever you want. There's no holdups at all. That's pretty sweet. Ultimately, a blood test is what kind of tears this whole thing apart, when fake Nicolas Cage convinces his wife that he isn't who she thinks he is, and she does the iPhone swipe, or he does the iPhone swipe on her and tells this terrible story about, like, their first date where she chipped a tooth on a piece of rice bread or something, and they went looking for an all-night dentist, as if that's a thing. Like, do the United States have all-night dentists? Is that? And then he fixes the wrong tooth. The worst attempt at a romantic story.
I thought it was cute.
It was hokey and awful and terrible. Let's skip to the end. We're on boats now. Oh no, we did the Mexican standoff in the church or whatever.
Oh yeah, we need the church with the doves.
Kept going. That's where the doves happen. I'm like, there you are, John Woo. I see you there. I see you flying with that dove. So the whole thing gets, because not everybody's up to speed at this point, so we have to reiterate again while we're doing the Mexican standoff. No, I'm this person. So we just keep coming back to that whole thing. Like, no, we get it. The movie's called Face Off. You also just said that in the drug dealer hangout literally 4 times. Face.
I'm gonna take his face off.
Face off.
Face
off. One more time with feeling.
Face off.
I like your style, Thane. Let's close things out. We get a sweet. This is where one of my other stars comes in. Is a sweet boat chase scene where it seems like these boats are going so fast they are about to take flight. There's a great part where they actually they crash or they flip one of the boats. The boat goes crazy. And then the two actors swap out for their stunt doubles. And it's like the movie Orgasmo where they swap out the stunt cock for a
Stunt
black
cock.
guy. Like, they may as well have done that in this. It's so obviously not those two actors. I'm not sure they anticipated this movie would ever be seen on a high-definition TV. But it's clearly not them. Nicolas Cage... Wait, now I'm confused. The bad guy is harpooned to death. Which is, I guess, original. That would definitely be painful, but not before scarring his face, kind of like Inglourious Basterds. He really should have done a swastika.
Just something to really
like,
fuck
you
him
know
over
what?
for life.
If you want this thing back, you're gonna be a Nazi. And then he scalps himself, and then
Yeah.
So things close out. Luckily, even though what we thought was the only doctor who was capable of this surgery, well, he had a backup. He had like what do you call that in theater or somebody? He had an understudy, a whole team, and everything's fixed. It's like none of it ever happened.
See, this is where the movie just shits entirely all over me. Listen, Sean.
All right.
Can I call you Sean?
You can call me Sean.
All right.
Can I call you Thane?
No. The scene when he's laying in the gurney and meeting the new doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And the doctor's like, don't worry, we'll have you fixed up like never before. You're going to look the same. And he's like, hey, doc, that scar that I had right by my heart, I'm not going to need it anymore. First of all, how the fuck does this doctor know about this scar?
Doesn't know
He's
about
talking to
it.
them as if they talked about it before. That just irked me. Secondly, the scar is a reminder of his dead son. He took this other kid. He took Castor Troy's son, and he's going to keep him now. He's literally replaced his son. He went and just got a new one. He gives him his old son's room, introduces him to the family. He's like, look, guys, his name's Adam. I got rid of the scar, so this is our new son now. Done. We don't need to worry about Mikey. Get rid of all those pictures. Where's that gravestone? Get it out of here. Like, we got this new boy now. It's done. Replaced. It's not like he's a fucking puppy.
You might as well call him Michael from now on.
Yeah. He
Just
did when he first met him.
Don't even call me Landfill 2. Just call me Landfill. That's a great catch. I just love... like, would you be nervous about going under the knife just before that, too? And I mean, it doesn't make any sense he's talking about the scar, but do you ever look at that doctor and go, like, so you're the number 2 doctor, hey? Like, there's a reason you didn't do it the first time. You clearly aren't as good as the other guy. But that is all for our little chat on Face Off. I am severely disappointed, but it is fun to shit all over these movies sometimes. I have a good time with you, Thane. Do you think we should pick a movie for next week?
I don't know is Gary back?
If the shoe fits.
I think Gary's back. I don't want to speak out of turn and pick a movie for him unless there's something real bad coming out. I'm pulling up Cineplex right now.
We're gonna select the random number generator is gonna pick our six degrees of chill movie for next week. And if Gary is coming back, let's show him some love. Let's try not to poke fun at him for missing so many weeks. I've never missed a week, by the way. I've been here every single week, whether you like it or not. Maybe that's why we don't have more listeners. I don't know. But Gary's coming back. I want to say, looking great, by the way, everybody. He's been over there Europing harder than anybody's ever Europed, and looking phenomenal. So here's the thing: we got a whole bunch of suggestions from everybody. Thank you guys so much. You can follow me on the Twitter at Sean Capri. That's Sean like Connery, Capri like the pants, and you can follow Thane. He'll share this. Thane, just sound it out, and Tingley, kind of like the way that your fingers get. Or it's Thane, like it sounds. Damn it, this is terrible. But Tingley, like your feet get when you sit on the toilet too long playing Pokemon Go.
Yeah, but there's an E in it.
Also with an E. It rolls off the tongue. That's really, put that on your business card there, Thane. Okay, so we do a call out every week for 6 Degrees of Chill. Basically just asking you guys to connect a movie to Face Off. This week I shared it on Facebook and on the Twitter. You guys can also go to WeTheNerdy.com or YouTube.com/WeTheNerdy and leave comments all over the place. I will scour the internet. This is so much fun that you guys participate. We had suggestions from a newcomer, Matt Urbanovic.
I believe
Urbanovich?
it's pronounced Urbanovich.
I never know if it's a ch or a k.
I think it depends on where they come from.
Hmm. He didn't leave that information.
He's
He
from
didn't.
Winnipeg.
Oh, so I think Winnipeg is Urbanovich.
Yeah,
We're gonna go
I
with
don't
that.
even know. I'm just yeah,
Thank you,
Urbanovich,
Matt.
confident.
He came to us with Con Air, and for anybody who is new, maybe like Matt, that was the original movie. That's where this whole thing started, was with Con Air. So we can't select that one, even though you were selected by the random number generator. We're gonna have to go to the next best thing, but not before we acknowledge some real great shout outs from our good friend Blair Hamilton, who had his movies. He had double the chances by sharing the post on Facebook. You can do the same on by retweeting on Twitter if I ever send out that. Corey Giltner found another way to connect Howard the Duck to this movie. Brendan Myers, he's on Twitter at King of the Pirates. From Paris with Love, I believe that was a John Travolta connection. Sean Fedunik had Fargo, and Frost Nixon. Oh, because it has a stupid slash in the title. That is hilarious. I'll take it. I wish that was it, but unfortunately it did not win. Bobby Paul said Staying Alive and the General's Daughter. What else we got? Kira Prince, John Woo's Hard Boiled. I'm pretty glad we're not going back to another John Woo movie. Antonio Guillen, Kick Ass. What else did you say there, Antonio? Bringing Out the Dead. Just a whole... We're all over the place. This was pretty sweet. But the random number generator selected one from the Sean Fedunik, a movie called 12 Monkeys.
Oh.
What a great... Now we're just going from one crazy Nicolas Cage to a crazy-ass Brad Pitt. And it says the connection is Galvin Benson. I'm just going to have to take your word for it. And I have to double-check where I'm going to see this movie. I don't know if I own this movie. I feel like I might have bought it when a Blockbuster went out of business. And maybe I picked it up for like $4.50.
Whole box of those. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Still in the wrappers, half of them.
Yeah, totally. That super thick kind of like wax paper, like
Yeah.
you would bake with that kind of. I don't know. I don't know anything about baking. So that is the winner. Thank you so much, Fed. I'm so glad one of your movies has finally made the cut by the random number generator, and it truly is random. I have nothing to do with this. What else do we need to do to close out shop tonight? We need to pick a movie. Blair. I'm reading the word Blair and looking at Thane. Thane. Hi.
That's so mean.
It's because
Blair is a giant, tremendous pile of dog piss.
No, he's really nice and he supports the show, so we love Thane.
Oh, wait. You just call Blair Thane now?
I did?
You did.
Damn it, I love you, Thane.
I love Blair. We text a lot.
Aw. Okay, do you want to see Snowden Blair Witch Project? That's really the source of all my issues here, is this Blair Witch. Or Bridget Jones's Baby.
Fuck.
One of those is not an option, by the way.
I kind of want to say Bridget Jones because I don't know. Between the two, I would go with Blair Witch.
I'm kind of thinking the same. I may wait to see Snowden. My younger brother Justin went as Snowden. What the heck is his first name?
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Snowden. He went as Elizabeth Snowden for Halloween last year, and I remember thinking, like, nobody's going to know who that is. But apparently enough people know who this guy is that they made a movie out of him. I remember the first time I came across him was actually on an episode of Star Talk Radio with my good friend Neil deGrasse Tyson. They had an interview, and I thought that was super interesting.
When he was the robot iPad.
Yeah, which I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not sure if they're just trying to be fancy. Maybe it was just a Skype call. But apparently he built like a robot and delivered it to Neil deGrasse Tyson's office, and that's how they did that interview.
Yeah, I'm going to start doing that for everything I need to do.
I hope that
I
part
think it's
is
a great idea.
in the movie Snowden. So that is not the movie. Blair Witch is the movie that we're going to watch. I hope everybody goes to see this movie. I'm really interested to see how they do a follow-up to a movie none of us really remember anyways. You got to stay out of the corner, remember?
I hope there's somebody in a corner in this one.
I think there's going to be at least 6 corners somehow. Like, none of them are 90-degree corners, which maybe that'll make them safe. So, as my good friend Bobby Pauls would say, that is all. You can follow us on the Twitter. I'm Sean Capri, Sean LeConnery, Capri like the pants. Thane is Thane Tingley on the Twitter, and you can look at the show, watch it, and listen to it at the same time because Thane and I are so handsome at 11:20 on a Thursday evening. YouTube.com/WeTheNerdy. or you can find us on WeTheNerdy.com. You can find us on iTunes and on Google Play every single Friday. So you guys should, if this is your first time, hit subscribe. Then you don't have to click on the weird links that we do on Facebook. I know that's a pain in the ass. Just hit subscribe. And while you're at it, if you're listening to this while you're taking a poop, give us a review. Just go ahead and a little 5-star. Right. Great job.
Did you see Blair Hamilton's review?
Let's hear it.
It's legend. Okay, it's gonna take me a second.
My phone is currently being used for FaceTiming, so it's indisposed.
I think it might actually still be right up here. Come on.
We were supposed to do this show, by the way, with little stuffed animals next to us the entire time. I had Sully next to me. You had nerdy Pokemon next to you because you're a big fat nerd.
3 generations of Eevee right here.
I'm actually super jealous of that. One of those is the bane of my existence because they own all the gyms around my place. Now who's a nerd?
Okay, here we go. This is from Blair Hamilton.
Hi,
I don't know why I got closer, as if you could hear better if I'm by the camera. Subject line, movie buffs Valhalla. All right. Movie critics Batman and Robin. Never has there been a dynamic duo that watches movies with such ferocity. Movie critics will love this podcast, as well as the most fair-weather movie fans. I cannot think of a more exciting, heart-pounding way to spend an hour and a half.
Dude, okay, so Blair likes the 90-minute runtime.
He does, yeah.
So let's run it out here. We're at the end, but do you want to drag this out a little bit? I think we got another, I don't even know, 20 minutes?
I could spend 20 minutes explaining to Gary for when he listens the proper way to pronounce Batman.
Batman?
Yeah, no, it's Bruce Wayne's Batman. Not Bruce Batman. Like, fuck.
Batman. Thank you, Blair, for leaving a review. I assume that was a 5-star review. It actually read a lot like a trailer, and I think that's what you're going for. And if it was, I picked up on it. I was kind of playing those little sound effects in the back, like, wow. In a world where there are podcasts and there are guys watching movies. That's all I got. Thane, say goodbye to everybody.
Bye.
I love you.